begin tuning in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo Gurudev Namo. Adkare Name, Jugatkare Name, Adkare Name,
Sri Gurudev Name, Adkare Name,
Jugatkare Name, Sadkare Name, Sri Gurudev
Name,
Adkare
Adkare
Name,
Name,
Jugatkare
Name,
Sadkare Name, Sri Breathe. Good. And now, Japa Saraswati, will you put our chat there?
Can we see them? I put up two things. The first one is the email you sent, Siri Gian, and then the second one is all of our questions. Would you like me to read them?
Yes, please.
Okay. So here's the email from Siri Gian. It says, if you remember last week that you wrote your own question for Baba Siri Chand, seeing that on your chat, then afterwards you got Baba's amazing answers. Now this week is similar. Remember that you will see last week's questions here on our chat. Do you still remember and use your Baba Siri Chand answers? If you were Silent Angel or last week's session, or believe you have found from another answer that helped you, or perhaps you were not there last week, but now listen for your question from Baba Siri Chand, such as we did that last week. Then, and then have you used Baba Siri Chand's answers within your own self? Are you becoming deeper and understanding wisdom from Baba Siri Chand's answers during last week, or did you forget your answers? Now ask Baba Siri Chand for your more deep and realization for your amazing answer. So we'll do 1 minute of heart pumping and 4 minutes.
No, wait, just one thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to the top and remember what your questions were.
Yeah, so I put that on the next, I posted 2 parts of the chat. So then I went and got everybody's questions from last week and posted them.
Okay.
So everybody find your question if you can see it.
Well, Japa Saraswati, can you talk for all the different questions?
Read the questions?
Yes.
Yeah. So Aagia Pal asked, how can I have the courage to know how to carry out my service in love, knowing that it will require sacrifice? Japa Saraswati asked, how to navigate, where to go, and how to proceed, which direction? Sahej asked, what is the path to physical healing and healing of grief? Jot Gian Devi said, greetings. It is for the new, is the new Pope a positive figurehead for these shifting times? Gian Das Prem says, as a group, how are we moving forward so far with our trust in nature and humanity? Ved Bachchan said, what actions, inner and outer, are needed to create stability and a new foundation through love at this time? And Sat City says, I know you want me to teach Kundalini Yoga. Is the position as a certified recovery at nearby SMOC a good place to begin? Should I get off the medicine disturbing my memory? What regular acupuncture as I have received at the Ashland Community Acupuncture be a good substitute, or do I need to continue treatment with different medicine?
Okay. Did you all get that?
So we're looking at our questions. We're going to do 1 minute of heart pumping and 4 minutes of heart breath, listening for answers and seeing how our answers compare to last week's answers. Is that it?
Yes. And also, first of all, last week you would have had answers. And now for this time, saying what finding about Baba Siri Chand saying these answers. Did you did you know about that? Have you worked with that? And go deeper if you can.
Okay.
Okay, do you all understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to begin with heart heart pumping. 1 minute, and then after that, 4 minutes heart breath. And begin. And begin heart breath. So inhale and continue. So now, Aagia Pal, will you first talk about your question? And then after that, for today's Baba Siri Chand answer. And continue.
Okay. So my question was, how can I carry out my purpose, service, and knowing that it will require most likely sacrifice. And so the answer today, I was walking around and I could feel myself being really anxious. And I said to myself, or soul, why am I anxious? What's this about? And soul said, you forgot to put yourself in soul's care. So don't, and then don't forget that soul's in charge. So give it over to soul. Give your life to soul. And then comes in the line from a song from a long time ago, he'll find a way when there ain't no way. And so today's answer was about having confidence, and everyday self is very strong these days. So it's not confidence in, I can't mix it up. It's confidence in soul, and confidence, faith in soul. And so feeling and that a deep presence, what I just felt now was a very deep presence, and a feeling of letting go and peacefulness. And I've been reading the Joan of Arc book by Mark Twain, and it's amazing what it's doing to me. When I open it and start reading, it's like I go into a different world. And how she's so confident. She sees, she hears the voices. She knows, she's in tune with soul and with the saints, and she's amazingly brave and without question, the courage just exudes from her. And so I'm really grateful to be able to, I said to soul, I'm really grateful for this book, because it's a tool. It's helping me, because I want to be like her, so 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 the idea is that I have to wait on soul, don't get myself all wrapped up in a tizzy about, oh, well, should I do this? Where should I go? What should I do? It's let soul show me. Be open to, like Joan of Arc is the voices, open to the movements of the spirit and of my angels and so on. So it's all about, listening in this deep presence and moving in this deep presence. And and then what came was this poem by Rumi, called The Guest House. And, it begins, this being human is a guest house. And every day a new, so every day it could be anxiety, it could be whatever. And the poem says, treat these visitors all the same, because they might be clearing you out for some new delight. So that also came. And so, whereas last week Soul gave me a tutorial on sacrifice, today there was nothing about sacrifice at all. It was um, recognizing my soul life and allowing, saying yes to souls working through me in every moment, in every thing. And when I start getting anxious about, well, how am I going to do this, or is this what's up, and so forth, go back to soul and put these other everyday self concerns aside and go to soul and just be in the presence, which incidentally is getting more and more deeper for me. It's more and more real, sitting in the presence of soul. And so I think that's the new thing is, well,
Say it
it's
again.
the old thing, but it's the new thing because it's deeper. And I find I go back to old stuff, but in a new way, in a deeper way. And then with the help of Joan of Arc's book, which I can't put down. It's anyway, it's changing, it's like changing me. And so I guess I'll pass and let everybody else talk. So, I mean, I could go on. That's the thing, but I think that's the heart of the whole thing.
Yes. Well,
thank you for listening.
Yes. Well, keep it up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. With
That's
every day, with every
yes.
minute. Keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we might do this again. So be careful. Be sure that you're doing the same Baba Siri Chand's answer all the time.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Because you see soul. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, so now Sahej. Oh, by the way, Sahej, I listened to the movie Thunderheart. Oh my God.
Oh,
It was wonderful.
me too. This is Jot Gian. It was so good.
Yes.
Isn't it remarkable?
Yes, it was.
And I realized after I put the clip in the chat, and somebody said later, like, "Oh my God!" Like, and I thought, well, yeah, it's pretty intense. But within that whole context, you feel the power of what that man is saying, and also he is acting a role that in real life was him. In a
Really?
very, yes, he was. When AIM occupied Alcatraz, that was him organizing that. I mean, with other people, obviously, but he got thrown in jail, and his wife and children and in-laws died in a mysterious house fire, and a lot of people think it was the FBI that did it as a retaliatory gesture to terrify people that were standing up on reservations in the 70s, and keep them from acting. So when he's standing there and he says, sometimes they have to kill us they have to kill us because they can't break our spirit. He knows what that is from the inside out, because that's what I was trying to communicate too. Why that is so powerful, because he's not acting.
Right.
That's his life. But the whole movie is very true, and it is very true to what was going on in reservations in the 70s, all of it. And I recommend everybody watch that movie. I The first time I watched it, it opened with him, uh, the Val Kilmer character, you know, or in one of the opening scenes, he's in the airport in I can't remember if it's New Mexico or Arizona. And while he's waiting to get picked up, he turns, and in the glass case there's a Ghost Dance shirt, and I just like went to pieces. There's something about that that has always spoken to me. Um, and you know, that's for another time, but look it up, Ghost Dance, and what that meant in Wovoka and what happened there, because it's just a continuation of an understanding of that more contemporary story.
Okay. And
Yeah.
now, wait a minute. Sahej, how does that change for you this week?
So I asked about physical healing and healing of grief last week, and honestly, I don't remember the specifics of the answer last week, but it was quite clear to me this week. And what I'm getting is like the signs are there.
Say it
The
again.
signs are there. The way shower is there. So, for instance, I was asking about physical healing and healing of grief, and there's this woman that I first heard on a podcast called Dead Talks, DEAD Talks.
Yes.
And he's amazing. And that's where I first encountered this woman. And I was like, I feel like I've known her since I was a child, like, I love this woman. Who is
And
she? And then I found her Facebook page, and I saw that she,
what's her
uh,
name?
Dr. Mary Helen Hensley,
Say it again. Dr. Mary.
Dr. Mary Helen Hensley. And she has there's some kind of a documentary out where there's like 50 people, like different kind of metaphysical healers, people that have had what they call near-death experiences. And they're interviewed, they're asked a series of questions, but you can go on YouTube and search her name and listen to what her experience is. When she was young, she was like 21, she got into a terrible car crash and broke her neck and died.
Oh,
And for like, I don't know how long she was out, but anyways, she came back with amazing experiences. And she'd always had a really strong intuitive awareness through her life. But she came back kind of superpowered. Not her words, those are mine. And so I just felt this kinship to her, and this that I needed to, you know, what I found out, I went to her Facebook page, and she was raised in the American South, but she lives in Ireland currently, and she does chiropractic work. But I looked in the bio, and it says also metaphysical healing, and I was like, I knew it, you know, and I knew that I needed to connect to this woman. And I went on her calendar to try to schedule something, and just wasn't working. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. And I thought, after a while, I sort of gave up and thought, oh, well, I guess this isn't the route. I guess maybe I have to go to Ireland and schedule a chiropractic appointment in order to get to see this woman. Because it was like, there was never any question in my mind that was going to happen. It was just like, this is puzzling. It seems to be very difficult. Wonder how this is going to work out. And then the other day, oh my God, this tourist bus is just pulling up like, oh, sorry. It's tourist season. I'm in my car. Sorry for that aside. They pulled up right in front of me and stopped in front of my view of the glacier. Anyway, sorry. So back to Dr. Mary Helen. So I had asked this question last week, and the other day I glanced at my phone, which happened to be open to Facebook, which happened to be open to her page, and I saw the message. For those of you who haven't been able to get appointments, and mind you, this has been a couple of months I've been trying to, get an appointment with her. I'm opening 6 new slots this week, and it was like, oh my God. And I saw that it had been posted like 15 hours before. And I was like, oh man, those are surely gone, but I'm going to try anyways. So I sent her a message, and a day went by, and I was like, well, she's probably busy. And then another day went by, and I was like, oh, weird. I didn't get it. Guess I got to go to Ireland. I mean, which seems comical, but that's how sure I was. And then I heard from her, and she opened up a slot for me. I didn't know particularly even what she did. I just knew I was supposed to go. And this is what I'm being shown today. It's like the signs are there and your knowing is there. So follow the signs and have your knowing. I had this appointment with her 3 or 4 days ago. Since our last meeting. And she's a synesthete, and so she experiences maladies and things out of alignment and diseases as frequencies. And so she creates frequencies to address that thing, to heal that thing. And we were talking a little bit about that. And all of a sudden, I see her sort of looking up into the corner. And I've seen that before when I've watched, you know, like videos of people that are mediums that talk to the dead. And I thought, and I just had this fleeting thought. And then she said it out loud. She said, oh yeah, I talk to dead people. Somebody's trying to talk to me. And then she started telling me, and it was Lawton. And he was there talking a mile a minute, telling her things to tell me. And she just started laughing. She goes, oh, like, he's the boss. And I said, that's what we called him when he was little. We called him Boss Man. And she said, oh yeah, that's just his way of confirming for you that it's really him. And it was just the most uplifting healing to a degree I could not have imagined possible, because and she even said, there's a reason he hasn't felt as present as he did in the beginning, because you need this time to rest. But coming soon to a theater near you when you do this healing work, like, absolutely stop doing the what ifs, because like I was saying, I even know better than to say, oh, could I have done something different? Blah, blah, blah. And even as I'm doing it, I know it's not true, but there's just that very human part of me that, I don't know, for some reason we have self-doubt, and we're trained into that from early by our culture, because that sells products. If I don't feel good about myself, or if I doubt myself, then I'm more malleable. Um, but it just gave me so much comfort, first of all, because she was absolutely clear. And she said, she talked a little bit about how souls leave, and and souls plan before we're embodied. And she said, some people leave through overwhelm, some people, this is part of the plan, this is part of their exit plan. And she said this was absolutely positively part of this was the end of this soul's journey, or so, again, my words, not hers. And I felt the truth of that absolutely in my bones. And she also said to me, we're not getting off this phone call until you understand that that's true. And you have to, maintain that understanding or things are going to go very badly for your other child. And that really woke me up. And I can see today almost like little veins of lightning connection, how that can be true. I don't know if that visual makes any sense, but just like um, the connectedness of mothers to children, and that how we behave and how we even feel gets telegraphed, whether our children know it or not, whether we know it or not, whether they're half a continent away or not. So that gave me um, not only the prospect of real healing, but the experience of it. And I had something come up yesterday that was surprising and a little bit scary because there was product from Lawton's company in a warehouse that I had knew nothing about, and it's another 1,500 pounds, which means I have to know how to divest that. And at this exact moment, I don't know how that's going to work. And ordinarily, that would have me collapsing in a heap in fear and self-recrimination and all of that other stuff. And I did not go there. I felt the feelings. I cried a lot. And then I got in the car and I drove out the road, as we say here. And I got out to, there's a little place called the Shrine of St. Therese. It's a little stone church out on I don't know if you call it an isthmus, like there's a path out to like what would looks like an island, but it's filled in. And it's called the Shrine of St. Therese, but I, as I was walking up there, I noticed this little statue I had never noticed before, and it was St. Francis. And that's the prayer that's on the back of Lottie's memorial card. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. And and I ran into a beloved friend there that I didn't expect to see, who was very loving and very comforting and offering solace and support. And my other friends were there collecting shells for their garden. And I started to feel peaceful. And then all of a sudden, I hear this. And the whales are right up close to shore. And for the next hour, we just heard them breathing. It's the most incredible experience. If you've never heard it, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like the whole world feels like it's breathing. You can't believe this being is like physically so distant from you because it sounds like they're standing next to you, breathing in their ear. That's how powerful their breath is. And I went into this awareness of the breath and why we practice breath work, and I had said this to my friend that I ran into because he had lost his mother recently, and that was a source of, he knew she was meant to go and could have joy for her, but of course it's also sorrow. um, and I was talking to him and I said, this is why we practice breath work. This is why we practice holding our breath out, because one day our last breath is going to go out and it's not going to come back in again. And like his eyes got really wide and he was like, wow, that is so cool. And I thought, oh, this is just something that's been in the back of my mind for a quarter of a century. And I haven't thought to say it out loud recently because I'm not teaching. And I just went out and sat on the point and listened to the whales breathe. And it's the first portion of a day in so long that it wasn't pelting rain. It wasn't really sunny, but there was no rain. And I just understood, like, yes, this miraculous, beautiful world is here at my disposal. And all the other worldly things that I have to do that create fear in me, they're there too. But I have recourse to something healing always. And that part of my healing is not to stay in that fear and to not let it grip me. And that, as ever, as I'm sure I've said every other time I've been on this call, the way is, for me anyway, the natural world, connecting to the breath of the whales, looking at this blue glacier that I'm looking out at right now, this incredible ancient body of frozen water. Even as like the tour buses are whizzing by and the road is right behind me and daily life is going on, all of the rest of it is still here for me. That's an awful lot. I hope I answered the question. And Satnam.
Satnam, isn't that wonderful? So far, we have heard so much from what Baba Siri Chand continues about your healing. And he's just there all the time.
Right.
Isn't this amazing?
It truly is.
And
What's amazing is we forget.
yeah, how can you just not forget?
Yeah.
That's
One
right.
breath to the next.
That's right. That's the old way. And you know what? This also seems like, remember our cosmic siblings? Do you remember? It's very similar to what we've been talking about.
Okay.
It must be this Aquarian age. Isn't this incredible with Baba Siri Chand? And what you're talking about is about the whales and the feeling and so on. Okay. Okay, so now, Guru Gian Das Prem. So first for your question.
Satnam, my question last week was, as a group, are we moving forward so far with our trust in nature and humanity? And my question had part of my answer in it that continued. I've been focusing on the various groups of life here in the world, from water to dirt and all in between. And there's billions of lives here. There's thousands, if not millions, of species. And then we have the light with the water. And I was given many clues after last week's. I was giving some odd answers last week, and what it came to for me moving forward was the moving energy and the noticing of the moving energy throughout my life experiences, and more lately has been through the other lives, noticing the other lives here. Lots of us have eyes, not just humans, but they have eyes and they have ears that also work nearly the same as eyes. And within the light of the water, the molecular structure is changing. And through the talking of the flowers and the birds and the people, I'm finding that there's a communication between us that when we notice it, we have the ability to tap into it. And my daughter and I just drove across the country, and we drive during the day because of our concern, for animals at night and whatnot. And we noticed, and we pray for the ones that hadn't made it along our route, and noticing our losses through our lives too, and the positivity that we brought through that person's light, their vibration coming through into our learning, into our experience, and how that can change sometimes. And it was wild. It's just a wild thing that happens like lightning. If we look at it so much, we'll see something in the lightning. We'll see a figure. We'll see a shape. We'll be given this interaction from the light going through us as well, but also for the senses to experience. And there's a tameness that nature has already inherently, that when we get to that level, we can also experience that through the near-death experience, or the outer body, or the lucid dreaming. There's also energy in there. And I've been given sort of an eye into my past that's awakening through these modalities of healings, and using our voice and putting our vibration out there. My daughter and I, we said, okay, let's do prayers for the animals that we see and for those that are coming. And there was a person ahead of us, and we were telling each other, hey, do you see that, or this one's coming up, or what have you. And she said, Dad, that guy's he's getting on fast. He doesn't see you. So I slowed down, and we got behind him, and these two deer, they were looking to cross the road, and my daughter would just looked right at them, and she put up her hand and she said, oh my goodness. And I had enough time to see that before her, that I slowed down. And these two deer, just like we were meant to meet, the two cats, and she had one of the cats on her lap, and they both sort of just saw it. And I saw the eyes of this deer looking at me saying, you are doing okay. You're all doing okay. Just that awareness of coming into that embracing the embodiment of the lives like within us, that there is a communication opening up between the other species here and us, because I believe humans are last to be here. We're the learners. We're given all of these lives as examples to teach us how to fly, how to dig, how to gather, sing, dance. And through that positive vibration, we're allowed to sort of see or experience this part of the being. And the vision that I was given as I was, looking out the window, was the grass, the tall grass, just blowing in all different directions till it sort of turned into the water, and the movements of that, the motion, and how we can feel it. And there's been times when I swear I could see that the plants grow, because they're moving right at this way of growth, of coming out of the ground and coming up and experiencing all of that life with that, just this divine vibration of they are inherently with the vibration of the other items, the other lives, through the mycelium, through all of that. And the seeding, the nourishment, and the soul part of that life that is within that vibration that creates the music. And well, now we can hook up wires to a flower, or to we can hear the vibration, or we can take ourselves and we can put ourselves inside of a machine that can read our brain and see this happening. And I was given a vision of that seeing myself leave again, and as practice, where we go to a place where we lose everything and we're able to express the sadness through that, you know, just imagining, not seeing this person again, or myself going away from this body and coming back again to, where the elements came from. And it's sometimes it's just so raw for me that it allows, that reawakening. And I think that we see that in each other too. And sometimes it's so delicate that, yeah, the gift of that, the breath and coming back to that, because we do exhale. That's the last thing we do when we come out. We, right, we take that deep breath because we've been connected to that umbilical cord. We've been underwater for so many months. And if you talk to a rainbow, it will change colors. And I think that sort of that way of knowing but not knowing, but practice and the experience will allow showing for the going forward of where we are here. And there is so much rhyme and rhythm and prose, but I really truly believe that it takes a long time to make a diamond. So there are jewels and rubies and all of that within our body, and following a practice that allows, the creativity to open up a little bit more for that, for the sharing. Like, what am I sharing with caring, or am I sharing with daring? Because sometimes we can reach out to help somebody and we're actually trying for ourselves rather than for the other person. So the being open for that channel for both sides to, to be able to notice, so that when we come to that point as a group, because myself, I just have always believed that we deserve freedom. We all deserve to, to have a way, and then we're given these choices that we use. But coming together in the group in that way of the vibration, of having somebody to, whether they're a model or, they're part of us that we're emulating for, the ease of the communication to come through, so that back into that motherly presence, and now we have science so much here to support our beliefs and our way of moving forward for freedom. Yeah, it's just that freedom is just for us, and we've had experiences, we've had traumatic experiences, and coming back together and seeing different parts of ourselves is really just I think a support system that we can share with each other, and that support will show up for us when we're truthful within it. And it's really like in this group, when we pray for each other, when we feel that love and we put that vibration out there, it has an ability to, to teach us, for us to learn, and to be in that spot of, we end up looking differently. It's been difficult for me since 2018, but this way of practice and becoming a little bit more honest, and let's face it, Kundalini makes you honest, and it sometimes can be a scary thing, but if we stay in that practice of supporting each other, that love is so powerful, right? That that communication is real. Yeah, my belief is that the soul is here for us to communicate with, the other souls. And yeah, next time you see a rainbow, if you try singing to it, you may notice the color differences. And my daughter and I, we prayed for one, and we prayed for one, and it didn't seem like the weather was right, but it's just this little burst that, we can notice sometimes in the corner of our eyes, like the clouds are so beautiful, and the water, and within that water is just such that Wahe Guru. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, we have inherently a way of moving about and we are doing it when we put our energy out there. So yeah, and we can fly because we are moving along at, more than 100, more than 100 mile an hour, more than 200. We're moving over 700 miles an hour right now. Is moving through the galaxy, and I think yeah, we can give ourselves a little nod that, we are doing this, we are moving, and we are together here. And this is like so beautiful that we are in a time where immense change is happening, and we can even see it in the mirror if we go there and smile, or open your mouth and stick your tongue in and out, and you'll smile. There's just so many silly things that we can do without doing any harm. And yeah, when we go about that way, I think the flower is just there, so sort of in a supportive way, for that life being coming from the light. And St. Francis, I mean, my favorite, the birds, the way the animals can come to us, and we can notice that freedom that we're showing for others.
Okay, Gian Das Prem, thank you so much. That was good. And excuse me, I have been listening and working over and over again about the exhale. With the exhale is wisdom. It is knowing truth. You just keep going with that. And that was the first time that Jesus made that with heart breath, and the exhale was the most important part. Thank you. Now, I'm sorry that I have just let go so far people that I didn't. Anyway, is there anybody else? Excuse me. Are you still be here for a while, everybody?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I can be here.
Yep.
Good. Thank you so much. Well, this is really cool. Thank you, folks. Okay, so Hadi Mender.
Hattie Mender left a message saying that she's an angel today because she has to leave probably soon, and that she's teaching yoga right after this.
Oh, darn it. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you, everybody, before beginning for our session, would let me know if there's difficulty with the time. Let me know at the beginning. Otherwise, I can't figure that out. Okay? Do you all understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, Honey Munder, can you say just a little something?
She's probably an angel.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see. So, Gian Das Jot Gian Devi.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, now what was your question?
My question was, is the new Pope a positive figurehead for the shifting time? And the answer was, I think it's called an answer. We will move as a global unit into the new reality. Leaders will be clearly seen as leaders of light, and we will know what leadership will bring us, that leadership will bring us to wholeness.
Wow.
Okay, so I know, I thought that was pretty well too. So what else how do I add to that? I don't know. Okay, it's all is shifting to this new reality in leadership of religions, religions plural, of structures, of modalities. This new awareness of light language gives us the ability to embrace and internalize and find peace in the new reality.
And what?
Let's see. The awareness of light language gives us the ability to embrace and internalize and find peace in the new reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't this
Wow.
wonderful?
I think it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's very hopeful in all the things I've been hearing.
Yeah.
It sounds hopeful, not like, doesn't sound dark and black and bleak.
It sounds better.
Mhm.
Way better.
It does.
Because having all of that crappy dark stuff from you know who
Yeah. And we're
really
going to appreciate the good ones
better
after him.
letting go of that. Uh, because the whole thing was about dark. We needed that to be able to transform,
Right.
and that's happening. Didn't you say that?
Amen.
Okay. Okay, Jot Gian Devi, is there something else?
Oh no, that was enough to sit. I wouldn't have gone back in to that space, but I'm glad I did. Actually, I think the first one did say it. I kind of just agreed with it, but to go into it a little deeper is a good thing. Because I do think we're in shifting times, and I actually don't see these. I see the shifts dark and light. I see, of course I do, but they're all necessary. I don't know how necessary, but they are sure happening, and we are evolving. That's obvious.
Wow,
Mm.
that sounds so good.
It does.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, how about South City? Did you understand what's happening?
Yes, very much.
Okay,
Incredibly beautiful.
okay. And say about your question from last week. Say that.
Last week, yeah, sure. And then, yeah. My questions were, what is happening to me that I have no memory? There's nothing, I can't remember anything. And I was pretty scared. And it's interesting. Here's what my ego thought, and then here's what Baba Siri Chand thought. So first, of course, my ego was looking for some kind of reassurance in the regular medical thing. And I did some research, and it said the drug that I was on, which was making me incredibly depressed because it had not stopped working. But I found the research that said online, that said this drug prevents anxiety
What?
by the drug I was on prevents depression and anxiety. I'm just telling you what it said. I'm not agreeing with it. Prevents anxiety by blocking the transfer of immediate memory, immediate experience into short-term memory, into long-term memory. Oh, and it's been messing up my life. Like I couldn't keep anything straight and was losing things all the time and forgetting to be someplace. It was like, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened is I had a treatment with Satyakar, which she said some things, but mostly this is around your diet in a large part. And here's how you need to clean up your diet. You need to go back to include a lot more complex carbohydrates, and of course, how to keep a vegetarian lifestyle and not have, she just said, you have no protein. You're not getting any protein in your diet. And what that reminded me of is I just passed out and fainted. I fell on the floor a couple of weeks, right after Easter. But so that was kind of the situation. And my doctor refused, the psychiatrist. She's a Haitian woman, really smart, beautiful person, huge heart. She was just like, that's not true, because it's not true that the medicine blocks the memory to prevent anxiety. And it's a kind of depression that comes with, it's called agitated depression, which my father had, and all my siblings have, because it's genetic. And I've explained this before, starvation solution situations in Ukrainians and Irish people. So my siblings were like, how the hell did you ever stay on Lexapro? We couldn't stay on it more than like 2 weeks. I just was in denial, like that it was such a bad situation, even though obviously I was not keeping up in what they call the ADLs, or the activities of daily life. And I knew I was in a bad situation, because everything was cluttered and disorganized, etc. So that was a situation. But I understand the diet's really important. But what I heard from Baba Siri Chand, which was kind of wild. Let's see. The message was, Sat Siri, thank you for hanging in with this demonstration, because you are being trained how to live in the Aquarian age, where there is no past. You have to be in the moment. You can't construct these edifices of resentment and memory and blah, 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 because that's not the Aquarian age. It's living in the moment, moment by moment. And I remember something you had told us many decades ago, Siri Gian, where you were like, this is what the Aquarian age is going to be like. There's no food, and you just go out. You will live by intuition. That's the correct thing. I forgot. And like a truck will drive by and a bunch of food will fall off and it'll be right there. So I feel so happy that I'm coming out of, because some of my questions were last week, should I get off this medicine? Should I take another medicine? And would acupuncture be good? So improving my diet, which I'm really kind of embarrassed to say, I'm doing really hard work right now installing native plant gardens for people. And I would leave work.
Do it again. I couldn't hear that.
Oh, I said, I was thinking about, I started thinking about my diet, which I do a lot of heavy duty work. Suddenly out of the blue, God gifted me with this occupation that I wasn't looking for, of helping people transform their yards into native plant habitats. So that helps all of creation to have the plants and trees and fruits and nuts that are native to an area, so the animals and birds, crawly things, all have the things they need to eat, instead of like these really toxic, sprayed with insecticide, all sorts of, the kind of toxic nature, anti-nature nature of traditional gardening, landscaping. So what was I trying to say? Oh, after work, I would leave, go to Whole Foods, buy a box of popsicles, and eat the whole thing in one sitting, like 4 to 8 bars. And they were like supposedly good fruit-based, but sugar through the roof. So anyway, I saw the ways I had to change my diet, but if also embracing, I was forced into an Aquarian approach to, and that's a train going by, living, which is go with the flow, live in the moment, etc., which requires a serious sadhana. So I'm getting back into some of the practices. I used to do an hour of, sometimes 2 hours of 1 minute breaths, so darshan. So I'm kind of headed back there. I am doing that. So I hope this makes sense. But it was a scary experience. It turned out to be not scary at all. And what a gift to get very clear directions. It's like reading a recipe. It's really clear. So, and no, oh, then the other thing was you must teach yoga. And one of my questions last week is, should I do it as a peer recovery support specialist for people with mental health and addiction issues? And we talked about that last week. So the answer was a resounding, of course, yes. So I'm pretty tired, but very, very, very grateful.
Wonderful. So now that you're much better with your diet, do you do
Yeah.
now?
Pardon? I didn't catch the last part.
Do you, how is your diet now?
Well, I'm just starting. Today was my first day. And for me, because I don't have the ability to cook at home or keep stuff at home, I was instructed to get the organic food. And
Mhm.
I have a list of foods and I have to go, I'm supposed to go to Trader Joe's, which will make my life really easy.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, Trader Joe's really specializes in organic prepared meals, and it's way cheaper than Whole Foods. Even though Whole Foods served me so well during this really challenging period for the last, very acutely, like the last 6 months, where I really couldn't work, except I could do stuff like dig holes, weed. I could do gardening, and then suddenly all these gardening jobs showed up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, yeah. And the other thing I was told to do was, there's a native plant trust here. It's called Garden in the Woods. It's one of the best in the country. It's right down the street. I just started to see all the ways that Guru was directing my steps. And I didn't realize it at all because they have classes there that are all online. And if you do their programs, so it can be flowers and shrubs, or it can be landscaping or plant science. And I'll probably start with landscaping and moving, but they're like 2 hours long. I think like between 10 and $25. They used to be weeks and weeks long, but they changed the whole curriculum. There's a new person who just understood working people. I'll come home from work and I can watch a couple of hours. I'm not gonna do 8 hours at once, maybe on a weekend. So it's such a joy and it feels very Aquarian to move out of the victim trip into total sense of abundance and joy, that everything, I can look back at my life every step of the way. How did I get here? How did I get to Metro West, where I'm living next door to the native plant? And how did I suddenly get clients? And how did I get advocates? It's just through my whole life, every step of the way, God and Guru was directing my steps and blessing me and illuminating my path, even though sometimes I didn't know it. So I hope I make sense. I'm getting my memory back slowly. It's a kind of a crawl back, and practicing. I feel like I'm running a marathon that I've been training for, that moving out of planning and overthinking and calculating and judging into accepting what is and just going with the flow.
Wow. Okay.
So thank you, everybody. It's so good to be here.
Thank you. And of course, this is for everybody.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So now Japa Saraswati.
Satnam,
Satnam.
I asked last week how to navigate where to go and how to proceed. And my answer last week was among the messages or among the images that I got was about the spider web. So I'd seen a study that spiders have so much more intelligence outside of their body than inside of their body, that when you disturb their spider web, they basically have a neurological reaction within their body that they that they feel it even though it's not even attached to them anymore. And I just kept on getting those images. So last week they kind of tore off the stairs at the lakeside of my house, and underneath there was so much cobwebs and old cluttery junk, and there were all so many cobwebs. But then I had these two doors that from the lakeside and from the porch off of that I couldn't use those doors for about a week because they were going to nowhere. And I felt like I kept feeling that spider of like, oh no, I can't use that part of my web. Um so I really had to kind of work on teaching myself remembering. And yeah, so I just kept on having that image of the spider. And then also part of my message last week, which I really felt reiterated this week, was about my hair, about the spider's web being a bit like hair. So my hair is outrageously long. I washed it last night, and when it's wet, it's all the way down to my knees, and it's like a whole little coat of hair. And when I went home after that message last Wednesday, I went and sat on the back area as the guys were cleaning up for the day to go home. And I took my hair down to feel the what I should do with these things, because I really was worried that um, I might have made a mistake in, anything. So I have been doing that. And part of the message from today was about that hair being part of our sensory system that's outside of our body. And I have that same sense, like in our asanas, like for example, in Cobra or Bhujangasana, your crown of your head is pointed straight up, but I intentionally will wear a rishi knot there during the practice so that I have that conceptualization of the 10th chakra, because that is part of the subtle anatomy of the pose. Or like in hair pose, where you put the crown of the head on the earth, or standing wide-legged forward fold, Parsvottanasana, you will bring your crown of your head to the earth, but the imperative is not for your whole head to touch the earth. It's actually the sacred geometry, as if you're like a couple of inches, like 2 or 3 inches off the earth with the crown of your head. And what is that space but your rishi knot, and that space for the 10th chakra? And it's in a whole bunch of other poses too. It's in headstand, for example, like it's just so much more aligned. If you have a not too big, like a turban, it finds a little bit too big for me. And actually, I have to be intentional with how I practice my asana so that the hair, doesn't get in the way. Like, I was trying to do something fancy last weekend, and my feet got all caught up in my rishi knot. Like I couldn't extend my legs the way that I wanted over my head because my feet were in my hair, and and I was upside down. Um, but so I have to be a little bit mindful of navigating for that. But
I find that actually doing it and making myself aware of those subtle energy centers, like that spider, like right now I'm in that old growth forest, one of the old growth forests that I come to, and I can feel the interconnectedness of all of the tree roots and the mycelium underneath us and around us and in the canopy. And so when I asked Baba, where should I go and what should I do, I just felt the reinforcement of those ideals. And so then there's a little miracle that happened sort of in the last week also, is that there's a Swami, his name is Swami Prem Sadsivananda, who's coming to Augusta, Maine. And when I saw it, I knew I wasn't going to be here for the dates that he's here. So I was a little bit bummed. I was like, oh man, can't make it, drat. And then the universe opened way for me to be here for it, which I didn't anticipate and realize. And I think I told you guys that like a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned it, that I saw another Swami speak. It was at a yoga conference in Maryland in 2016. And when I was there, we're all lined up on the YMCA. It was an old retired YMCA, and we're all on the basketball court, the former basketball court with basketball markings. And all of the yogis have our mats laid out, and we're all lined up waiting for the Swami to come. And it's about a half hour before he comes, and it's misty early in the morning, and the sun is coming up, and everybody's just kind of being quiet and just, settling in. And I felt all of our electromagnetic fields almost snap into place, like come start into alignment. And I also felt our ancestors wanted to come to see him. And I felt like everybody's grandparents and ancestors come behind their shoulders to hear this great man speak. And I remembered that because it was such a big impression that moment. And then uh, at the same time, um, I learned that I now can have the ability to go and see this Swami. I just learned he's coming in like 2.5 weeks. So, so there's two things. One is that I have to find a place to stay during this for me and the cat. So anybody, please send prayers for this. I know that the universe is working on aligning it, but I'd love to set it up so that I don't have to think about it. And yeah, and I just felt that this Swami was aligning, that he was helping, and Baba Siri Chand and Soul and the universe helping to align me to being able to do this activity that I really would like to do. Um, yeah, so that's what's happening. That was kind of my message, was about um oh well, so also to continue staying on the high road by chanting and through sadhana, through my practice, that it's my practice that fortifies me, that leads me on this higher path. Like it was a it's a crazy thing, that it was a miracle that Baba did for me in 2016, where the porch up here in Maine, um, my mother knocked it down without telling me, and then told me the day after, or that night. And that's the porch that we're repairing. She knocked down like part of it because it had gotten rotten from the snow. And then on the same day, Baba Siri Chand's pagoda, where the statue is that you're seeing on my thumbnail picture, that pagoda had a porch on it that was rotten, and they knocked down that porch on the same day, all of a sudden, because I said something. And on the exact same day, my porch of the house that I was renting. It was a historic house, and they had to make all of these extensive permits to repair the porch. And so it had been decided like months and months in advance which day they would knock down the porch, and it was the same day. And then because of that porch being knocked down and because of all of the construction, I couldn't really stay there that summer, or my landlady said I didn't really have to pay rent that summer, and that gave me the money to go run around to that yoga conference and see the Swami. And basically the same thing happened just now with my landlady. The house isn't right, and she said I don't have to pay rent. And it's the same week that the Swami is coming, and she says, take your rent and go. And so, but now, guys, I need to find the right place. So please send prayers, because I want someplace wonderful to stay with me and the cat. It's not just me. I have the most wonderful cat in town. Um, so that's my, yeah, how to proceed. Just keep moving along, because way will be made. You know, that's something that the Quakers talk about, is that way will be made. And I do feel that, you know, I always seem to find the artsy yoga adventure for the summer. It really happens nicely for me. So here we go.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
So much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well, that was wonderful from all of you. Didn't you find that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. Okay. So now I'm thinking about getting next week from Baba Siri Chand. Oh, this is going to be see what's going to happen. Okay. So, okay, Jot Gian Devi, will you be the leader for singing?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll we'll inhale and then exhale and start. Inhale and then exhale. Here we go. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you. And of your light within you.
Guide
your
your way.
way.
Guide your way. Guide your way on.
Inhale.
Thunderheart,
And bless you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
God bless. Have a
Love
great
you, love you, love you.
Love you.
Satnam.
week.